outside in nature, but they're also within us. And they exist as the 5 elements in nature. So the 5 elements are earth, air, water, wood, and fire. And these 5 elements are associated with emotions. So I'm just going to bring up my slides here so that you can see what I mean. So let me just share my screen. And so, yes, can everybody see the screen? Okay, great. So these are the 5 elements. And with the 5 elements, they're associated with emotions, as I was saying. So earth corresponds with sympathy, air corresponds with grief, water corresponds with fear, wood corresponds with anger, and fire corresponds with happiness. And we all need these emotions to help us rebalance after we go through certain life experiences that throw us off balance. So, what do I mean by life experiences that throw us off balance? So, let's see here. So I want you to consider how on every hero's journey, you have a difficulty, you have a loss, you have some kind of a threat, you have a need to protect your values and to grow into the next version of yourself, and you have a triumphant transformation. So if you think about your, movies that you like to watch, the most interesting ones, your hero in the story goes through all of these challenges. So this is the worksheet that's filled out. So if you have your worksheet in front of you, you can see here that earth helps you to overcome hardship through sympathy. Air helps you to overcome loss through grief. Water helps you to respond when you feel threatened through fear. Wood helps you to restore your boundaries and grow into your true potential through anger. And fire helps you to celebrate a triumph through happiness. Okay, so just so that we all understand, I thought it would be fun to go through an example together. So I chose Cinderella because I think most of us are familiar with the story of Cinderella. So I thought it might be a good exercise to try and think about Cinderella's hero's journey in relation to these 5 elements. So can somebody tell me, when does she need her restoring, balancing emotion of sympathy? When does that emotion help her in Cinderella? So you can unmute if you have an answer to that. I can start us off. So sympathy is good for when we have difficulty in our life. So her difficulty then is her stepmother being really mean to her. And so the emotion of sympathy is able to help her with this difficulty. Whereas she also experiences loss, which is losing her father, the death of her father. And so the emotion of grief helps her through that. So can anybody give me an example of when fear helps her? When she experiences fear?
She experiences fear when the clock is striking 12 at the dance.
Yes, that gets her moving, doesn't it?
Or when she's confronting her stepmother.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of fear there because her stepmother is threatening her throughout the movie. So there is a lot of fear there. And I just wanted to point out here that fear and courage are the same emotion. It's just that you have a different outlook on how you can handle the situation. With fear, it's the same physiological effect on your body as courage. It's just that with courage, you feel like you can overcome the challenge, and with fear, you're not so sure. Okay, so what about anger? When does she use the element of wood to help her? And I just want to point out here too, that a lot of times we associate anger with blame and aggression, and this is not the definition that we're using here. Anger in this case is the pushing energy that you need to stand up for yourself and to express your needs so that you can reach your true potential. So when does Cinderella do that? Jenny? You have to unmute.
She does that when the prince's people are coming around with the shoes, and she's really angry, and she's going to be heard and going to get to show herself. And it's funny, one of my friends calls anger the dignity emotion.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can see that, because you're restoring your boundaries. That's the purpose of anger. Cool, thank you. Another time that she expresses anger and stands up for herself is even going to the ball itself. With the support of her fairy godmother, she decides, yes, I'm going to go. So that's kind of herself expressing her need to go. And then we have the element of fire and the emotion of happiness. Can somebody tell me when Cinderella experiences this? When the prince, or actually I can think of two. It's one when she is at the ball and dances with her prince. And the second is at the end when the glass slipper fits onto her foot. So that's an example using Cinderella. I also want to say though, that what I don't agree about the message in Cinderella is the ending, when they say, and she lived happily ever after. And the reason I don't agree with that is because happiness is only one of the 5 natural emotions that we need in order to feel balanced. So it is impossible that Cinderella lived happily ever after. And I think that in the media, a lot of times we're expected to always be happy, and that actually causes a lot of self-doubt in us, and it causes us to feel like we're not measuring up, and it can actually cause a lot of anxiety and depression. So forget the happily ever after, because you need all 5 emotions. Does anybody have any questions right now about that? Okay.
I'll just say, I think that's so brilliant what you just said about the happy ever after, just in terms of the 5 elements. I've always, expressed it in writing, and, verbally that's such a problematic expectation, but to just put it so neatly in terms of there's 5 and you can't just have 1, and she lived angrily ever after. It just doesn't make sense. And the other question I have is, what struck me is that the 5 elements, they're very much presenting emotions that, to my ears, some are negative and some are positive. Instead of finding like a neutral, I think in some systems they try to express it more neutrally. These are negative and these are positive. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of surprising that it's expressed that like anger is alongside happiness, is alongside grief, is alongside loss. It's a funny combination to me.
Yes, yes, it is hard to get past thinking of emotions as neutral rather than good or bad, and we'll be actually covering that next about why do we judge our emotions as good and bad. So when we're watching our favorite movies, we're okay with feeling the emotions. We love going on that emotional roller coaster ride with our hero. It's what makes the movie exciting and interesting and vivid and rich. But when we feel those emotions in our own life, it's not so easy, is it? Because it's happening to us, it's more personal, and we feel like we're alone and it's just happening to us. And this is due to our cognitive ego mind. Because our cognitive ego mind likes to, it's one of its roles is to maintain our sense of separateness. So it helps us to experience ourselves as separate and alone. So let me just go into this a bit more. The cognitive ego mind takes advantage of activities that the left side of the brain is really good at. So for example, perceiving things as separate, judging things as good, bad, right, or wrong, wanting to avoid or attract certain outcomes, and making up stories to try and explain past painful experiences and to try to predict the future. So I'll just let that sink in. So what the cognitive ego mind does is it takes these activities, combines some of them in order to make you feel a lot of self-doubt. Can you see how combined, like seeing things as separate, judging things as good or bad, wanting to avoid or attract certain outcomes, and making up stories to try to explain past experiences? Can you see how these things combined can make you feel self-doubt and can cause you to come up with limiting beliefs, such as, I have to be perfect in order to earn love and connection. Because if you think that you're separate, and if you're judging yourself, then yeah, it makes sense that we would conclude that we have to be perfect to earn love and connection. Does that make sense? So what this does is this motivates you to try harder to earn love. You perceive love and connection as scarce, so of course you're going to try harder to earn this love. In other words, you have to be better than others and better than your current self. This is basically what it's saying. So the main role of the cognitive ego mind is to protect your sense of separateness and to monitor betterness. And the main way it does this is through judgment, to judge things as good, bad, right, or wrong. So on the handout, the worksheet, if you want to, you can fill in the answers here. So the main role of the cognitive ego mind is to protect the sense of separateness and to monitor betterness. And the main way it does this is to judge things as good, bad, right, or wrong. Make sense so far? Okay. So it especially likes to judge our natural emotions and our current situation or challenges as good, bad, right, or wrong. And this leads to judgmental states. So judgmental states are not these pure natural emotions that we just talked about. Judgmental states are emotions not pure, but they're colored by judgments. So for instance, instead of feeling sympathy when we have a difficulty, we can judge ourselves for having that difficulty, and we can feel shame and we can feel pity. So shame and pity would be the judgmental states. Instead of feeling grief when we experience a loss, we can judge ourselves and we can experience the judgmental state of low self-worth. If we, instead of feeling fear and courage when we're faced with a threat, we can judge it and create these stories in our head, and then the judgmental state of anxiety shows up. So this is different from the pure fear and courage. So instead of expressing anger when we need to restore our boundaries and to express our needs and our true potential, we can judge ourselves or others for being wrong or bad, and then the judgmental states of blame and aggression show up. And then instead of expressing happiness to celebrate a triumph, we can actually feel like we want to hold on to this emotion. So we judge it as good. We want to hold on to it. And that can cause us to get addicted to pleasure. And that can cause a lot of problems for people. Or if they want to hold on to happiness, but they're not experiencing happiness, then it can cause them to feel depressed because they feel like they're not measuring up. So there is a difference between natural emotions and judgmental states. Just to be clear, because they're very subtle, it's hard to tell which is which. So you can think of your natural helpful emotions as ones that help you to move forward because they're all about acceptance. Whereas with judgmental states, there is a lot of judgment there and resistance there, and they actually hold you back and keep the same stories kind of festering and going over and over again in your head. So just to fill in the next line of the worksheet, the self-doubt, the limiting beliefs cause judgmental states such as pity, shame, feelings of low self-worth, depression, anxiety, blame, aggression, jealousy. It's a lot to take in. So, what would be the antidote to all of this judgment? Does anybody have any ideas of how we can let go of this judgment? Reba?
Perhaps by allowing our natural state to flow.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Any ideas of how?
I think, well, first of all, I always think information is key. So if you have a system like this where you say, okay, these are natural and healthy, and I'm not I'm not depressed, I'm grieving. And there's a difference. It's an informational difference, but it makes a difference in terms of how we experience and express the emotion. You know, in the one we're kind of, let's say, whipping ourselves for having it, and in the other we're just allowing ourselves to go through it.
Great, yeah, so just the awareness that, yeah, there's a difference between what I'm feeling and it's coming from here. Another way to think of it is blame and aggression is, I think of it as not natural anger coming from your authentic self, but ego anger. So that's another way to think of it. But yeah, it's good to be aware that there are these two different types. Great. Anyone else have any ideas about how we can let go of this judgment?
Somebody raised their hand.
Okay.
So let me see if we can. Yeah.
It's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wonder if when the situations come and we're experiencing these emotions, I like what you said, Reba, is allowing. But also I wonder if that's the time to really ask questions instead of making the judgment, to ask questions. You know, working through the emotions. Why is this here? Is this a lesson? I almost don't want to say lesson because that could go either way for people. But just asking yourself some questions and allowing yourself to work through and process through the emotions and work through the circumstance instead of judging it. So it's not good, it's not bad. It's maybe the question is, what gift are you bringing me? Right? Because this is an opportunity to be aware. So maybe it's, if we looked at it as a gift, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm far off, but I think I start to ask myself these questions. It's a gift to feel. It's a gift to feel these emotions. I'm feeling this right now. I'm owning that. And the way that I work through it is I ask some questions. You know, where is this coming from? What is coming up for me that is allowing me the opportunity to not be better, but maybe maybe I'm learning a new process. Maybe I'm learning a new grieving process. Maybe I'm learning the process of letting go. But either way, I feel like emotions come to bring us some information. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Thank you so much for offering that. Absolutely, I think it's important to ask yourself those questions. You know, specific questions, even such as, okay, am I blaming somebody right now? Am I attached to a certain outcome? These kinds of questions kind of lead you to clue in that it may be a judgmental state that you're feeling. And I absolutely agree with you that a good way is to think of your emotions, your natural emotions, as gifts, because they truly are gifts from the 5 elements. They're gifts from nature to help us move forward. Thank you so much for offering that. So one way that I love to let go of judgment is to spend time in nature. I think spending time in nature is the antidote to the shenanigans of the cognitive ego mind. And so what I'd like to invite you all to do is to, right now, to think of a place in nature that you love. A place where you love to spend your time when you need to get away from the stresses of everyday life. If you want, you can close your eyes if it helps you to imagine that place. Just take yourself there now, noticing what you see, what you hear, what you smell. Just spend a few moments here enjoying yourself. Like you're on a little mini vacation right now. In the middle of the week, how's that? And I'd like you to thank this place for existing and for being there whenever you need it. And then to bring yourself back into the room. And I'd love for people to share about their places in nature that they love and how that place makes you feel.
For me, I think it would be the beach.
Yeah?
Because I love the sound of the ocean waves, and, you know, I surf from time to time too, so that kind of helps me concentrate and stuff like that.
Great. It helps you to concentrate. And then how does it make you feel inside?
It helps me relax.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Catherine. Would anybody else like to share their favorite places in nature? Jenny?
Kind of right out my door is the entrance to a park, and the Susquehanna River runs through it, and there's lots of tall trees, and being in nature just brings me absolutely to the present moment. Nothing else matters. So noticing the flowers, noticing the nature, the animals around me, listening to the sounds of the water, it just really engages all my senses and really brings me to the present moment.
Wonderful.
In a sense of deep peace.
Deep peace. Great. How about one more person share? Because I love hearing about nature, and I want to honor our nature allies by recognizing them. Anyone at all? Well, maybe I'll talk about mine. It's also by a river, and there's lots of willow trees along the bank and lots of rocks. And I just love hearing the river kind of the talking and making sounds. It's kind of like a babbling brook. And I love watching the sunlight reflecting off of the water. And it makes me feel more, when I'm out in nature, I feel more like myself. I feel calm and peaceful. So I think the reason why we feel so great in nature is because we feel a sense of interconnectedness. Do people experience that when they're in nature? Do you feel more interconnected? Yeah. And also, I feel more balanced when I'm in nature. I could be having a really rough day and, have all these stresses and worries. And as soon as I go out in nature, I feel more balanced. So the reason why we feel more interconnected is because our nature allies, and our nature allies are the rocks, the rivers, the air, the sun. Our nature allies don't have an ego mind like we do. And remember, our ego mind makes us experience ourselves as separate. So since nature does not have an ego mind, then they experience everything as connected. And that's what we're getting from them when we spend time in nature. That's why we feel a sense of interconnection. It's from our nature allies. And then, so what causes us to feel more balanced in nature? It's because our nature allies are the expression of the 5 elements and the 5 emotions. And so they're experts at rebalancing. Because remember, the emotions that we feel, the reason they're there is to help us to rebalance. So that's why in nature, which is filled with our natural elements, help us to rebalance. And I also feel more loved and accepted out in nature, and it's because our nature allies love and accept us. And when you realize that nature is within you, these elements are within you, you start to love yourself more. And your self-doubt and your judgmental states can dissipate. So the next line on the slide is an effective antidote is spending time in nature and connecting with the elements outside and within. And the reason why this antidote is so effective is because our nature allies don't have an ego. They experience the world as interconnected and are experts at rebalancing. So I'll just let that sink in, and if anybody has any questions at this point, please ask. Reba?
Yeah, this system is really fascinating and beautiful and perfect. And what about the way that we're treating the earth these days and nature's response, because we're kind of pushing nature out of balance by, you know, polluting and using resources in a not sustainable way. So does that enter into it, or is this sort of a more of a theoretical?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. And I think the reason why we are experiencing so much imbalance, like human-caused environmental disruptions, is because we ourselves are not balanced. And so because we're judging our natural emotions, it's called causing imbalances in us, which is causing us to cause imbalances in nature. So a solution to that, I think, is to let go of that judgment and to rebalance ourselves, because once we do, then we'll begin to see that manifesting outside.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that is a lot to take in, and I'm wondering if this would be a good time for a 10-minute break. And then after the break, we can actually experience connecting with these elements. Does that sound good?
Does that sound good for everybody? Okay, great. Leah, would you do me a favor and stop your screen share during the break, because I'll put up like a notice that just says 10-minute break.
Okay.
During the recording, when people are watching, they know what's happening.
Okay.
It is now, I believe, 21 to 1, so we'll meet here at 9 minutes before 1. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Super. Okay, do you see the little sign up? Okay, great. See y'all in 10. Calling everybody back. Welcome back. So
Okay.
whenever you're ready, Leah,
Okay.
okay.
Sure. So, hope everyone had a good break. So just to recap, what we've learned so far is that we have natural emotions that are associated with the 5 elements, and expressing these elements, these emotions, are helpful because they help us to rebalance when life experiences cause us to become unbalanced. So they're very helpful. So there are specific ways that you can connect with nature so that you can feel more connected with these elements within yourself and express them without judgment. And that's what we want to do today for the rest of the workshop. So we're going to be practicing doing that. You're going to be led through a guided meditation to help you connect with some of the 5 elements within. We likely won't get to all of them today, but we'll do as many as we can with the time that we have. So, is everyone excited? All right. So, remember how at the beginning of the workshop, we talked about how the ego likes to make use of left brain activities in order to increase self-doubt. Do you remember that? So it helps us to perceive things as separate and to judge and label things. Well, the opposite of your self-doubt is your inner knowing. The opposite of your self-doubt is your inner knowing. And let me just bring the slide back up here. So you can use right brain activities to help you connect with your inner knowing. Isn't that great how that works? So right brain activities to connect with your inner knowing. And right-sided brain activities include, oops, sorry about that. Let me just fast forward here. Oh yeah, so you can make use of right brain activities to connect with your inner knowing. And right brain activities include using imagery and metaphors. So imagery is when you describe emotions using pictures and shapes and sizes and images. And a metaphor is when you describe something in terms of something else. So for instance, variety is the spice of life. That's a metaphor because you're describing one thing in terms of another thing. So our right brain loves doing this kind of thing, and it kind of helps us to kind of disengage the left side of the brain. And then using imagery to describe our experiences, and our feelings as like a shape, a color, a size, a texture, that's another right brain activity. So I just wanted to explain this because I'm going to be guiding you through a guided meditation and asking you about certain feelings and asking you about their imagery, you know, what size they are, what color they are. And so yeah, I would say just go with it and don't judge the answers that come to you. Does that sound good? All right, so we are going to be doing a guided meditation now. So make sure that you're in a comfortable spot. All right. So to start, let's take a deep breath into your belly and exhale, letting your exhale help you to release any tension you have in your body or worries that you might have in your mind. Breathe like this again, a few more times, feeling more and more relaxed each time. On your next breath out, let all thoughts and opinions float away. As you continue to relax, breathe into your heart area, which is where your inner knowing lives. Greet your inner knowing, who knows, loves, and accepts you unconditionally. Your inner knowing knew you were coming to receive guidance today and is here for you now and always. Thank your inner knowing for helping you to feel safe enough right now to let down those defenses you usually put up so that you may gain important insights on behalf of your authentic self as you do this exercise. As you do this exercise, go with whatever answer first comes to you without judgment. Even if it seems a little out there, just go with it. Let's begin. Ask your inner knowing to help you imagine a place in nature where you feel unconditionally loved and accepted. A place in nature that feels balanced and in harmony. Take yourself there now, taking in all the sights, sounds, and scents. What a lovely place to be. This place in nature is a metaphor for the elements that exist within you. The elements in your nature scene care about your health and your well-being. They all provide you with equally important emotional gifts that play a role in helping you to restore and maintain balance in your life. Before we get to know some of the elements there, let's first acknowledge another important aspect of your nature scene. The unconditional love and acceptance that infuses your nature scene. This unconditional love and acceptance is important because it's a non-judging energy that moves through each element to activate its emotional gift. When unconditional love and acceptance are present, judgment can't exist. It dissipates. Let's describe this non-judging love and acceptance that infuses your nature scene. What does this unconditional love and acceptance look like? Notice if love and acceptance has a color. Does it have a size, a shape, a texture? Notice how love and acceptance moves through your nature scene. Not only is love and acceptance in your nature scene a metaphor, it also exists within you. What is the sensation of love and acceptance in your body, and where do you feel it in your body? Thank this love and acceptance for being there for you whenever you need it. Thank your nature scene for being there whenever you need it Take in a few deep breaths and slowly bring yourself back into the room where you're sitting. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Well, I hope everyone had a nice journey there. I would love to know how that went for you, and if anyone would like to share how they were able to connect with love and acceptance in their nature scene. And yeah, if you wanted to honor the love and acceptance that you felt and described how that went for you, I'd love to hear.
I'll go.
Sure, thank you.
So my scene is the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm laying in the water. And for me, love is water because it continues to move according to its essence, even though I'm present and I'm laying in the water. It doesn't run from me, it doesn't hide from me, it just accommodates me. Okay? And so the water is very cool and it's coming around me. So it's refreshing me. And then I see how the sun makes the water glisten, and I hear the waves playing a melody. So every time they go out to the ocean, it's one sound, and when they come and rush up over my body, it's another sound, and it's just this very calming melody.
That sounds beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Wow. Yep, amazing. I would love to hear from a few others.
I'll share. I just went back to the nature scene that I saw earlier, which was just, I was in summer camp and I was just lying on the grass underneath a tree, and I think it was a birch tree, and I was lying on my back, and the leaves are kind of round, I think. I'm not sure what tree it was, like round leaves with just a tiny point, and all the leaves are shimmering and shaking and like a wind chime, and I'm just looking up, and it's a very the colors I saw were the actual colors of the scene, the light blue sky, the light green grass, the birch bark trunk, the leaves just shimmering, and the leaves have sort of silver on one side, light green on the other, and it was like so magical and beautiful. And I really felt like how much kind of an undercurrent buzz of anxiety there was that I could just release. So that was wonderful. Thank you.
Great. And how did you experience it as a sensation in your body?
Just ease.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, you see how this kind of work, it's helpful to describe things in terms of color and shape, because it would be hard to describe it any other way. So it's helpful when we use these metaphors and try to describe it as a texture and things like that. It's when we're using this language of imagery, it helps us connect with our inner knowing and our intuition. We're communicating with our inner knowing, which is what we do when we're making art as well, right? Would anybody else like to share their experience of connecting with love and acceptance?
Well, when I was meditating, I saw a fairy ring. I don't know how, it was like out in the woods, you know, there were fireflies everywhere, you know, and I stepped through the fairy ring, and when that happened, you know, unconditional love. I just felt unconditional love.
Wonderful. And were you able to describe the unconditional love as a color or a shape or a sensation?
All the above.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, well, what we can do then, so this love and acceptance is important because love and acceptance infuses all of the elements in order for us to express it without judgment. So that's why I wanted to make sure you got that imagery of love and acceptance, because it's one way that we can let go of the judgments. Okay? So what we can do is we can continue on and we can connect with some of the elements there. What I'll do actually is we'll do one at a time. So I think we'll start with one element, and then I'll bring you back to the room and you can let me know what that experience was like. And then if we have time, we can move on to another element, okay? All right, so we're gonna go back into a guided meditation. So get comfortable. And again, take a deep breath into your belly and exhale. Letting your exhale help you to release any tension you might have in your body or worries you might have in your mind. Breathe like this again a few more times, feeling more and more relaxed each time. On your next breath out, let all thoughts and opinions float away. As you continue to relax, breathe into your heart area, which is where your inner knowing lives. Take yourself back to your special place in nature, taking in all the sights, the sounds, and the scents. Let's now put your attention on the earth element there in your place in nature. What does the earth look like in your place in nature? Be present with the earth there so that you can get to know her better. Part of the earth's rebalancing role is to provide you with understanding and sympathy, nourishing you with a sense of comfort and security when you're going through something difficult. Imagine love and acceptance moving through the earth and activating her gifts of understanding and sympathy, making them available to you whenever you need to feel understood for having a difficulty. Thank the earth for her gifts. Not only is the earth in your nature scene a metaphor, the earth element also exists within you. Whenever you feel sympathy and understanding, it's because you have the earth's gift of understanding within you. think of something difficult that you're going through right now. Feel yourself being supported and understood by the earth that's physically holding you right now as you sit. Since the earth element is also within you, you have the capability to bring up sympathy for yourself. Come up with a gesture or emotion to trigger this feeling of having understanding for your difficulty. For example, you could caress your arm or give yourself a hug if this triggers the feeling of sympathy within you. Can you feel the earth within you? What is the sensation of understanding and sympathy in your body? And where do you feel it in your body? Thank the earth element in your nature scene and within you for helping you to feel understood and to help you feel sympathy for yourself whenever you're going through something difficult. Take a few deep breaths in and out, and bring yourself back into the room when you're ready, opening your eyes when you're ready. Okay, so would love to know how that went for people. Please share about your experience. Reba?
It was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And the gesture, I love the idea of the gesture. And when I was imagining that hug, all this heat just came out of my heart, where it just was great because, you probably know I really am all about self-love. It's a part of what I can do and study and work with. And this was such a great way of giving myself a hug, giving myself that support.
Right, yep. Awesome, Reba, thank you. Would anybody else like to share their experience?
I think everybody's too blissed out.
Maybe I'll ask another question then. Can you see this imagery and this gesture being helpful to you whenever you are going through a difficulty? Can you see yourself connecting with the earth, either in your nature scene or within yourself, or both, to bring up this feeling of understanding for yourself? Do you see yourself being able to do that after doing this exercise? You see some nods there. Okay, great. And I encourage you to practice that. So the next time that you notice that you're going through a hard time, because a lot of times we tend to judge ourselves and, blame ourselves for having this difficulty in the first place. And we might tell ourselves, oh, why did I say that? Or if I didn't do this, this wouldn't have happened. Well, rather than judge yourself, next time what I'd like you to do is to give yourself understanding for having a difficulty. Reconnect back with your nature scene, the earth there, the earth within you, and give yourself that gesture. It's your own personal gesture that triggers the feeling of understanding. So I'd like you to do that the next time, okay? Instead of judging yourself. So what you can do actually is, let's take time to write down your experience so that you have that with you. So let's see. So looking at the worksheet, there's the third last question is, what activates the gifts of the 5 elements? And the answer is love and acceptance. And what does your own personal activator look and feel like? So that would be love and acceptance. So when we did the love and acceptance exercise, if you could remember what love and acceptance looked and felt like for you, you can write that down. And also write down your experience with the earth. Okay. So now you have written down your experiences so that you can go back to them when you need them. So, shall we do another element? Yeah? Okay. So how about I think a useful one they're all useful, of course, but I think a helpful one might be water. So let's do that. So again, we're going to go into meditation mode. Again, take a deep breath into your belly and exhale. Letting your exhale help you to release any tension you might have in your body or worries you might have in your mind. Breathe like this again a few more times, feeling more and more relaxed each time. On your next breath out, let all thoughts and opinions float away. As you continue to relax, breathe into your heart area, which is where your inner knowing lives. Take yourself back to your special place in nature, taking in the sights, the sounds, the smells. Let's now put your attention on the water element there in your place in nature. What does the water look like in your place in nature? Be with the water there so that you can get to know it better. Part of the water's rebalancing role is to help things move with flow and efficiency. This can mean feeling fear when it's truly called for and calling up on your courage to help you move forward from the cause of that fear. Imagine love and acceptance moving through the water in your nature metaphor and activating its gift of courage, making it available to you whenever you need courage to help you move with more flow and efficiency. Thank the water for this gift. Not only is the water in your nature scene a metaphor, the water element also exists within you. When you feel fear within you and call upon courage to help you move past the cause of your fear, it's because you have water's gift of flow and efficiency. Think of a fear you have right now. Notice how the veins in your hands, wrists, and arms look like rivers flowing through the earth. Feel your blood coursing through your body, reassuring you that the cause of your fear is not as solid as it may seem, and reassuring you that you have what it takes to rise to the occasion. The water element is within you, and you have the capability to bring up courage. Come up with a gesture or motion to trigger this feeling of courage. For example, you could square your shoulders or raise your fist in the air if this triggers the feeling of courage in you. Can you feel the water in you? What is the sensation of courage in your body, and where do you feel it in your body? Thank the water element there in your place in nature and within you for helping you to move with flow and efficiency whenever you need it in your life. Take a few deep breaths and bring yourself back to the room, opening up your eyes when you're ready. Okay, I would love to hear how that went for people. Jenny?
That was beautiful. Yeah, and like Reba said before, I almost feel too blissed out to talk. But, yeah, it was by the river, and you know, I love sitting by the rocks there. And when you said like, you know, experience that, you know, manifesting, imagine almost like a little water sprite coming out. And it's funny, almost right before you said like raise your hand, I saw it like going like this, and like me feeling that like energy too.
Yeah.
So that felt real. It felt really good. It felt really like empowering.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So,
Yeah, that one always energizes me for sure. I always feel like my heart racing when I do that one. For sure.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Jenny. That's awesome. Would anybody else like to share their experience with the water element?
Well, yeah, mine was actually a true story. I went surfing, you know, first time I ever went surfing, I found a sand dollar, and I still have it to this day, that I got from the beach. I assume it was a gift from the gods, so to speak. So anyway, I guess that was a sign that I was meant to surf, I guess. I don't know. But I love, love, love the ocean.
Hmm.
I think that was my water element, was the ocean.
Great. Thank you. And Catherine, were you able to bring up the feelings of courage in you?
Well, it was scared at first, but then once you caught the wave, it was an awesome feeling.
Great.
That's free.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? What I love about this emotion is that fear and courage, I think of them as the exact same thing. And so what the water element can do is can reassure us that we have what it takes to rise to the occasion. And it's just interesting how with that mindset, how something that you fear can all of a sudden turn into courage, like an empowering. You go from feeling not empowered to feeling empowered. And so the next time you have a fear, you can actually like do the motion that you came up with, and think about how the water is within you. Like if everybody just looks at their wrist right now, your veins actually do look like rivers running through the earth. And so the water element is within you and is there to support you when you need that energy, that strength to move with flow and efficiency. Awesome. Okay, so I'm wondering if that might be a good time just for questions, actually. Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far? Reba?
My nature scene actually didn't have water in it.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you suggest then? I mean, I just switched to another scene, but first I was like, should I just, the water in the earth, the water in the air? There's water in the leaves and there's water, but it's not very obvious.
Yeah, so that's what I would suggest is think about, the water that is there, the water that is in the leaves, the water that is in the earth. Because in each within ourselves and within all of our nature allies, we have all of the elements within us. So in the air, there's water, there's sun, there's fire, it's all there. So it's okay to be creative and to feel, an element that might not be obviously there. Yeah, it is there in some form. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that, Reba. Any other question? No questions. Okay. Hopefully that means I'm doing a good job of explaining everything.
Yes, absolutely. At least I'll speak for everyone. I don't know if I'm not correct, then please just add your own opinion, but I think so for sure. And I think I personally feel so like just release so much, stress that I didn't even realize was there. So I'm ready to just lie down and so I think that's I don't know, people can in the chat let us know, it really helps when you give feedback so we know how you're doing, but that's what I would think is happening.
Yes, I would love to actually just hear from those that we haven't heard yet, just even if it's just to say I'm good or this is helpful, or if you have a question, I'd love to hear it. Katrina, I see that you're unmuted. Was there something you wanted to add?
Yes, I just find it very helpful and very interesting.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's good to get that feedback. Thank you so much. Okay, so
I wanted to add thank you so much, and yeah, I'm feeling very relaxed, blissed out, wondering if I have time to get a nap in. And yeah, I was just thinking too that this would be so beautiful, you know, at night or in the morning. I always like love those tools, like right before bed or when you get up, like to just kind of ask yourself what you feel, what you want to infuse into your day, you know, or you know, and to bring that up would, you know, if you need courage for that day, to bring up that water element, I think would be, you know, a beautiful and powerful way to begin that day, or even in the shower, you know, to go into that little meditative state would be such a great way. So I see so many applications of it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jenny. Yes, and that's what I encourage people to do is to, if you have time, you can go out and thank the earth, you know, take a walk out in nature, thank the earth for her gift of understanding and support. And if you have time to spend by a river, thank that element for supporting you with that specific emotion to help you rebalance. Yeah. Okay, well, I had it in my plans to leave a half hour for questions. So does anybody have any questions at all? No questions, okay. Okay, would people like to do one last meditation? Yeah? Okay, I'm seeing some nods there. Great. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Let's make this our last one. And yeah, we'll do another meditation now then. I'm just gonna bring up my notes here. Oh, actually, and while I do that, why don't we take the time now to write down our experience with water so that you don't forget. Okay. So, are we ready? Okay, so let's again take a deep breath into our belly and exhale, letting your exhale help you to release any tension you might have in your body or worries you might have in your mind. Breathe like this again a few more times, feeling more and more relaxed each time. Let all thoughts and opinions float away. Connect with your inner knowing. Take yourself back to that special place in nature, taking in the sights, the sounds, the smells. What a wonderful place to be. you can put your attention there on the fire element. The fire can be the sunlight or the sunshine. What does it look like in your place in nature? Be with the fire there so that you can get to know it better. Part of fire's rebalancing role is to provide the heat needed for transformation and the warmth needed for connection and happiness. Imagine love and acceptance moving through the fire in your nature metaphor and activating its gifts of transformation and happiness, making them available to you whenever you need more fun and celebration in your life. Thank the fire element for its gifts. Not only is the fire in your nature scene a metaphor, the fire element also exists within you. When you feel happiness and connection within you, it's because you have fire's gift of celebrating connection and transformation. Think of someone who you feel connected with, who you enjoy hanging out with because they're fun. Feel the warmth in your body. Since the fire element is also within you, you have the capability to feel happiness for yourself. Come up with a gesture or motion to trigger this feeling of happiness. For example, you could put your hand on your heart and do a little happy dance if this triggers the feeling of happiness in you. Can you feel the fire in you? What is the sensation of happiness and connection in your body, and where do you feel it? Thank the fire for this gift. Thank the fire within you and in your nature scene. Thank all of the nature allies who helped you today. Taking a few deep breaths in and out. And feel yourself coming back into the room, opening your eyes when you're ready. Okay, let's hear how that went.
I dreamt of a big bonfire, of course, and there were people playing drums, you know, and there were people dancing around the fire, just celebrating.
Nice. That's awesome. Yep. Perfect.
I'm so hot.
Nice.
I don't know if it just got hot outside or if I'm just like burning up.
Well, yeah, it's the fire within you. You connected with it, and so that makes sense to me.
Ooh.
I welcome fire with open arms.
Yeah. Great. Anybody else want to share?
Yes. I said Oh gosh, let me get my microphone. Okay. I wrote down some words as you were talking, and crackles. I heard the fire crackle,
Okay.
and fire is untamed. There's passion, there's power, and I feel like fire wants to be heard, right? Because it's not contained. It can just be all over the place. What fire does for me, or especially when you said, imagine love and acceptance coming out of the fire and like coming through you, it's a cleansing. Fire cleanses for me.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, fire is all about passion and fun and connection. And yeah, cleansing is an interesting one, because I know that a lot of times when write your rants down on paper and then you let the fire burn it, it's very cleansing to do that. So that makes sense to me as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Cassie shared a note, so I'm going to read it out loud because maybe she can't speak it out loud. This is from Cassie. Fire simmers in my tummy for me, sort of the root of my creativity.
Beautiful. I like that. Excellent.
Oh, and here's Yakese, by the way. Oh, that's you. Hi.
Okay.
Oh, it's great to meet you. Our lens is broken. Okay. We'll meet face to face sometime soon, I'm sure.
Well, thank you for sharing, everybody. Let's take a few moments to write down our experience with fire so that you have that. And, a lot of times I feel like we don't really celebrate our triumphs. We kind of go from, jump from one project to another without actually taking the time to acknowledge that we need to celebrate. So this is what fire is for. And I think that we could connect with fire more in our lives to help us to have more fun. When was the last time you had fun? Okay, so so yeah, take the time to write down your experience. Okay, so I want to thank everyone again for coming, taking the time out of your day to join us here at this AtoZ workshop. It's been a pleasure to spend this afternoon with everybody. Thank you so much.
Oh, Lea, thank you so much. You know, I want to take a minute to celebrate. Speaking of fire, we must have spoken to each other, maybe it's 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so much happened in between. It was going to be earlier. And then you had some really nice personal things happening in your life, and we delayed it a few more months. And it really is an amazing manifestation to be here with you today. It was such a beautiful workshop. And it's so wonderful to be here with everybody who joined us today. I'm so pleased at this beautiful group that's here today. It really touches my heart. And I want to thank you so much, Lea, and to let everyone know that if they'd like to continue the exploration with Lea, to please visit the Sanctuary Shop at AtoZ Healing Space. And she has a digital course there that is very affordable, and it's called the Path Clearing Process Digital Course. And I think at this moment it's only available at AtoZ Healing Space. So run over there and continue this exploration. I can see how it's so enriching. You know, no matter what modalities you use, this connects the dots in a completely different way, and yet in a way that feels very true and right. And you're getting a lot of thank yous in the chats. And I invite everybody here to also explore the beautiful supportive sequence of events we have planned at AtoZ that will carry you through each month at a high vibration, which will really allow you to bring forth your dreams and bring them to life. So I invite you to explore membership at AtoZ, a premium unlimited membership, or the AtoZ 1 level where you can go for one activity alone. And again, thank you, Lea, and many, many blessings to all here.
Namaste.
Namaste.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.